천자문,
千字文
千字文
In this lesson, we will look at characters 465 through 472 of the 1000 character classic, the 1500-year-old Chinese classic in which no characters are repeated. To the right is the expansive inner hall.
우통광내,
右通廣內
右通廣內
Go left to reach the Chengming Hall.
좌달승명,
左達承明
左達承明
Let's look at line 117. I'll offer an English translation character by character. Right, through, wide, expansive, inside. Together, they can be translated as, to the right is the expansive inner hall. Let's hear it pronounced. You'll hear it from a recording in Korean, Japanese, and Chinese.
우통광내,
右通廣內
右通廣內
On to line 118, character by character. Left, master, attain, inherit, accept, bright. Together, they can be translated as go left to reach the Chengming Hall. Now let's hear it pronounced.
좌달승명,
左達承明
左達承明
Let's look at a few radicals or components. First, notice that 465 and 469 both have the same left-hand component. That component means left, even though it appears in the one for right. In these ancient versions, this piece was on the right, representing the right hand, bringing food to the mouth, and the left hand with the idea that it's picking up a tool. And then in 466 and 470, we have the same radical, which is the walk radical. And that makes sense again here, as one character means through, and the other one has the sense of master or attain, but it's also part of words of, reaching somewhere or arriving somewhere. If you look at 467, that means wide. And if you look at its radical, it's interesting because the radical, the house on cliff radical, is actually the same as the simplified Chinese version of this character. And this is a common character. And lastly, let's look at 472. This is just a really famous, really common character, but it's really an easy example of how two pictographic characters can come together and also have a meaning that is also quite pictographic, as in the sun on the left and the moon on the right, and that means bright. Based on the 8 characters of these 2 lines, I've come up with a word list. I've tried to select words that are common and relevant to Japanese, Korean, and Chinese. Now you hear the words spoken in each language. Right-wing politics.
우위,
右翼
右翼
Traffic, transportation.
교통,
交通
交通
Advertisement.
광고,
広告
廣告
Inside, content.
내용,
内容
內容
Left and right.
좌우,
左右
左右
To reach, arrive.
도달,
到達
到達
Permission, recognition.
승인,
承認
承認
Explanation.
설명,
説明
說明
Proof, certificate.
증명,
証明
證明
Have a look one more time at the words of this lesson. See which ones you remember. Okay, let's move on. Now take one more look at each of the characters and offer a few additional notes and perhaps pose a question or two. I'll also give each character a rating. A rating of 5 suggests the character is common and essential. A rating of 1 suggests the character could be obsolete. And this set of 8 characters is unique, as they are all common characters and shared between the 3 languages, hence they all have a rating of 5. So let's start with left and right. So I don't know how to speak Chinese, but I do want to point out that in Korean and Japanese there are both native words for left and right. It's fascinating how this character gets used, as it appears in words related to communication, transportation, and translation or language. Indeed, all of these concepts relate to something passing through a medium. There's a basic word, very common in Japanese and Korean, that means usual or regular, that contains this character. And that same word is part of the actual Chinese word for Mandarin, which means something like standard dialect. It makes sense that the word for advertisement includes this character, which refers to things that are wide or widespread. This character gets used in public square and broadcast. It appears in the Japanese adjective hiroi, meaning wide. This character means inside, and thus also appears in words related to things domestic or internal, such as a domestic flight or internal organs. I already talked about this one in the context of right. This character means attain. It appears often in the Confucian or Ren philosophy. Here it is in the word for realizing oneself, and here in the idea of the master. Somehow it seems fitting that this character is part of words for friend and improve. This is a very common character, part of words related to undertaking something, such as accepting a contract or inheriting the throne. It appears often in approval forms or in online situations when you have to click a box to accept the terms of something. And this is a very important character. It is the name of the Ming Dynasty. It's frequent in names, and it's part of the Japanese word for bright. That's a wrap for this lesson. In the next lesson, we'll look at lines 119 and 120, which mention the palace collection of classical books and the great people who gather to study them.
천자문,
千字文.
As always, I remind you that I make these videos partly for my own study purposes. If you happen to notice a mistake or that I forgot something, let me know in the comments. The goal of the channel is to make a video for each line of the 1000 character classic, while looking into study methods and connections between the Chinese, Japanese, and Korean languages. I wish you happy and productive language studies.